Thank you.
1, 2, and 3, go.
Welcome to another episode of Shenanigans Podcast with your girl, Sharita. That's me. How y'all doing? And as always, when we start it off, we say thank you for the support, the love, the dedication. Truly grateful that you guys are tuning in wherever you may be. We got some people from Oceania, aka the Philippines, tuning in. That is so far out and so cool. So thank you. And if you are new here, welcome. Shenanigans. It's supposed to be shit-nanigans, but you can't curse everywhere, right? Because what is shenanigans? The shit I go through as a comedian. So, let's start it off. Happy Mother's Day. If you're seeing this, wow, and you don't have a mom, so sorry. I know a lot of us are missing our moms, but happy Mother's Day to the actively involved moms, the moms that have custody of your kids. You don't have custody of your kids. We're not talking to you. And you know what you did to lose custody. Are we judging you? Of course. Because as a mom, that child was attached to you for 9 months or less, depending on what kind of birth you had. And for you to lose your kids, ooh, girl. Ooh. We're sorry, but we still gonna judge you. But yeah. And me, if you didn't know, I'm a mom. I have 4 kids. Don't ask me how. I didn't want kids. But you know what happens? When you do the do, they show up. So I have 4. They're 20. The twins, yes, twins, are 18, and the youngest is 14. The Lord was like, you know what? You need a girl. And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, yeah, you do. You need to calm down. You're too masculine. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm a girly girl. See? I'm a girly girl. I got my nails done. I get my hair done. You know. But the differences between having boys and having girls is tremendous. It really is. And no, I'm not the type of mom that like, oh, my son has to like do everything and gets to chill. And then my daughter is like cooking, cleaning, and preparing to be barefoot and pregnant. I don't do that, right? Everybody does the same chores in the house. You're going to wash your dishes. You're going to clean dog poop. You're going to like clean your room, the bathroom, whatever. Everybody, it's equal opportunity chores up in here, okay? So if you're those parents that the son don't have to do anything and then the daughter's Cinderella, stop that. You're wrong for that. Because they grow up resenting you. And I always go on stage and talk about my kids putting me in a retirement home. And I want the one where they actually wipe my butt and clean me up. Yeah, I want my kids to treat me right. Now, kids, if you're listening, can you just leave me in my house that I pay for instead of a retirement home? It's free, but still, I want to be in my house. So, yes. And the dads that are doing single parent life, happy Mother's Day to you too, since we always do the role reversal every June. It's like, oh, it's happy Father's Day to the single mom, so we'll say happy Mother's Day to you too. Okay, there, we got that out the way. So what does Mother's Day mean to me? I haven't figured it out yet, because it's like once a year, whatever. Well, no, it's twice a year now because it's Mexican Mother's Day, and my kids are half Mexican, so I think that counts because I did get Mother's Day gifts. And I told my kids, true story, I told my kids I don't celebrate Mother's Day because I don't have a good relationship with my mother, right? That's the first person a girl meets is her mother, and she's supposed to teach her how to be a girl, transition into a woman, and eventually transitioned into a wife and mother if you so choose it. And let's just say me and my mom, we missed all the steps. I don't know if I tripped and fell or I forgot to go the path, and I don't mind taking the blame. I'll say that I was a difficult child to be raised because I was her first kid. The first kid, we mess up all the time because we don't get the handbook, we don't get the know-how, we don't get the, I don't know what we're supposed to get. We get the doctor bills, we get that, right? Because your first kid, you're in the hospital because you're panicking, the kid's sleeping too long, there's bumps and bruises, you don't know how they got them, so you're like, what? Or they're first cold and they're miserable, and you're staying up with them all night because they can't breathe. Their nose is stuffy, they're crying, you're crying, we're all crying, and then eventually they blossom into an adult, and you're like, yeah, get out. You're like, yeah, I did my job, get out. But we're not going to kick our kids out, right? It's like breaking generational curses, because a lot of people say once your kid turns 18, you set them off into the world. I don't agree with that because they have to learn how to go out into the world. Remember, from the age of 0 months to 18, their only job in life is to go to school. We send them to school. We send them to learn how to read, to write, how to add, subtract, divide. School settings teach them how to be in social settings, learning how to play with friends, relatives, whatever. So, and then when they come of age, they're like, oh my gosh, you're 18. I don't know what to do with you now. Like, you're your own person. And we grow up, as they grow up, we watch them develop their personality. Because are they going to be like their dad, or are they going to be like you? So when we say our mini-me, my daughter is my mini-me, but she's feisty Latina. She's me 10 times worse. And why do I say that? It's because you get a girl, she wants to be the queen bee in the house, because she is the only girl. But I'm like, baby, don't do that. You don't want to go up against me, your mother, me. Like, I'm already crazy. I get a check for this. And you're trying to out crazy me? Why would you do that? You know? But I can tell she does it because I'm her role model. And that is an honor in itself, right? Because, again, we don't know if we're doing the right thing or the good thing, because there's nobody to give us a report card. There's nobody to give us a quarterly counseling to say, all right, so on the pros of you being a parent this month is like, yeah, you're like cooking for them. You're making sure they have clean clothes, clean water. And then the cons is, well, you don't cook every day. So like they're starving. No, they're not. We have, junk food. They'll be all right. I survived. We have 2 water hoses, one in the front yard, one in the backyard. Figure it out, You let your kids drink out the water hose, kids will be kids. They need to learn like we did, okay? I have a water cooler, I'm bougie. But still, and I have a refrigerator that, like, it spews out water. I didn't have that growing up. I did not have a house growing up. I shared a room with my 2 brothers for 17 years in a tiny apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Right? And fast forward to my kids have a house. Each of the kids, with the exception of the twins, have their own room. My son has his own bathroom. My daughter has her own bathroom. That's not normal. That's like rich people level, okay? When you grow up in a poverty environment and you grow up thinking like, I'm just going to be on Section 8 forever, the government assistance, nothing wrong with that. And the funny thing was, I forgot what movie it was. I wanted to talk about it. There was a food stamp book, all right? I grew up with the food stamp book. And if you open up the book, the dollar was brown. I think the $5 was red. The $10 bill was green. Like, that was supposed to be real money. And I forgot what color the $20 bill was. But it was a food stamp book before you had the Lone Star EBT card. I don't know what it's called in New York, if they have the card or not. But I was never embarrassed when I went out and used a food stamp book. My mom was, and I didn't know why. And somebody was like, at school, there's like, you're happy being on food stamps? And I was like, we get to eat, so yeah. Like, why be embarrassed of something that it's meant to help you? Eventually, my mom got off of, the welfare and everything like that. So we didn't have food stamps forever. And eventually, we moved out of an apartment, and she got her first house, right? She kicked me out, but that's beside the point. So I'm not going to kick my kids out. They can live in the house, because who did I buy the house for? Me or my kids? And as a mom, we put so much pressure on us as individuals. Like, I want them to have the best school care. I want them to have the best clothes. I want them to, like, be dressed up nice and clean. And I don't want them to go out and embarrass me. Your kids are going to embarrass you. I remember my daughter, when she was 2 years old, the terrible twos, and we're walking around the PX just to hang out. And she saw something she wanted, and I told her, no, you're not getting it. And she drops down to the floor, and she's flailing, she's screaming. And I got used to it, so what I would do is I would just stand to where I would protect her so people could still walk down the aisle and do whatever. Yeah, you get the dirty looks. You get the dirty looks like, what is going on over here? I'm like, keep it moving. Don't worry. Let her have her episode. She'll snap out of it eventually. One day, I don't know, I just snapped. I couldn't take it anymore. I don't know what I was going through. I don't know. Like, I just had it. And this, I guess because it was like after the divorce, I was married to the dad for 8 years, and going from a married woman to a single woman, that's hard with 4 kids, right? So I just snapped, and I fell on the floor with her. I fell out. I'm screaming. I'm wailing my arms. I'm like, I don't want to. Why are you doing this? Why are you embarrassing me right now? Why are you crying? She had the audacity to stop and look at me like I'm wrong. And she looked at me like, oh, girl, this is not a good look for you. Why don't she get up and walk away? But she never did it again. So when I told her we would go out somewhere, she asked for something, and I would tell her no. No backlash, no temper tantrum. No, see, she was like, fine. And she would go on about her life. My boys, no issues. No issues. But when my oldest was 8 years old, he tried to test me. And his father was in the living room at the time. And I told him he couldn't play video games. It's time to get ready for bed because you have school in the morning. It's a school night. And the rule at the time was no video games during the week. And he's like, well, Dad is playing video games. I said, but Dad is not going to school. Like, do you understand the implications of that? Your father does not go to school. Yeah, but he has to go to work tomorrow. I understand that, son, but I'm not talking to your father. I'm talking to you. And he said with his whole chest, I really wish you wouldn't. And me being the Brooklyn fighter that I am, yes, I struck my child straight in the chest. He flew into the wall. Don't worry, he survived. But the look on his face was, wow, Mom's very strong. And then I look at his father, I was like, you not going to do anything? He said, oh, you handled that very well. Like, there's nothing left to do. And I was like, but it shouldn't get to that point. Him being your son, and they would say, well, only a man can raise a boy into a man, right? But when your kid tests you and you have to set boundaries, your kid has to learn to respect you. Now, some will say, well, it shouldn't take physical violence. It doesn't always take physical violence. It doesn't. But for some reason, some children feel like if they buck up to their parent, my thing is that my child is going to buck up to me and potentially try to physically manhandle me. I'm not going to let you. I'm 5'2". I'm short. My son now is 6'1". We don't have any issues. None. And I find myself sometimes apologizing to them because I'm like, for those that know, I always talk about my military service. While they were growing up, I was in the military, active duty. I was gone. I was deployed. I was in Iraq. I was in Afghanistan. I was at NTC a few times. I'm in the field. In other words, I'm not at home. So I have to rely on other people to raise them, nurture them, watch over them, and, basically take care of my kids till I get back, please. That's a hard thing to do as a parent. And many of us have that guilt of, well, we have to work, we have to pay bills, we got to afford some type of life situation that we have to leave our kids, and we feel like we've abandoned them. We really haven't. It just made it to where the economy says you have to work. And again, when I was married, it was a one-income household anyway, because I was already in the military, and he was a stay-at-home dad. But people got in his ear and was telling him, like, as a man, how could you sit at home while your wife works? And he actually fell for it, and I don't know, it just didn't work out. And I was like, well, if you don't want to be here, guy, go on your way. And we divorced in 2012, and I'm not mad anymore. I'm disappointed. And you know why I'm disappointed? Because as a parent, the privilege to watch your kids grow up and develop into the person that they are, the milestones that they have. Like, I didn't know that you graduate from kindergarten. Who knew that? I didn't know that. I wasn't there. So when I got pictures of, the kids in their kindergarten caps and gowns, I was like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. When did they have kindergarten graduation? I missed out on that. And now, when the roles reversed, he's missed out on them graduating from junior high school. He missed his son graduate from high school. His son is now a sophomore in college, right? Baby girl's about to be a freshman come August, and I'm excited about that, a freshman in high school. He's missing all these milestones, and whether you, as two people come together to make the kids, whether you're married, not married, whatever the situation was, you should never abandon the kid or kids. You should always be there for them. And you're like, well, did you afford him the opportunity to be around his kids? Of course I did. I bought each of the kids their own cell phone, and I put his number in there. So if they wanted to call him for whatever reason, say, hi, Dad, this is what I'm doing, Dad. But it's not the kid's responsibility to reach out to that parent. It's the parent's responsibility to reach out to the child, okay? And call and check up on them. How you guys doing? What's going on? You meet any new people? Not, well, why aren't they calling me? They don't have to. Why are you forcing them to call you and interact with you? You know? So, I just want to harp on parenting. And I probably went all over the place with it because it's emotional for me. Because, again, like I said, I don't know how to be a parent. I promise you. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. You know, I know how to eat. But raising a whole kid, that's hard. Let alone 4. That's hard to do. So, moms, pat yourself on the back, right? You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing the best you can with what you can, how you can. And we don't get enough credit. We get judged or we get criticized. And this whole stigmatism of, oh, you're a single mom, don't date single moms, don't get with a woman who got kids, 1 might be good, but 4 is too much. Why do you think that we made the kids by ourselves? We didn't go to Target, walk through the aisle and said, I want this kid, that kid. That kid looks special. I'll take him just for the challenge. No! We made these kids with someone else. But you harp on, don't get with a single mom. Why not? What is so bad about us? You have to understand, we have what they call human resource management skills. Okay? We could run a household. We take care of each individual. We take into concerns. We do conflict management, conflict resolution. Okay, we discipline in a different way. I don't beat my kids because I was beat when I was growing up. It sucked. So I don't beat my kids. But I did the takeaway method. I did the timeout method, and it worked fine. You know, like, oh, you want to act up? Give me the iPad you love so dearly. Oh, you want to act up? Oh, you want to fail in school? Let me take away those privileges of video games, hanging out with their friends. Some people are like, well, it's not good to isolate the kids. Yes, it is. Because kids pick up bad habits and are influenced badly when they leave the house, right? So you have to limit their contact and find out who they're hanging out with, who they're associating with, who's giving them, like, bad juju. How else are you going to figure that out? Can we weed out all the bad? No, we cannot. We can't, you know. And I don't believe that there's rotten kids. I just think they just had a bad start somewhere. That's it. You know, kids are going out rioting now, looting, robbing. There's kids breaking into people's cars in their neighborhood. I'm like, what are y'all doing? And people say, well, it's just a phase. I'm like, don't come to my house with the phase, please. Don't do it. Not cool. But yeah, parenting is hard. Dating as a single parent is hard. And those of you who come to my comedy shows, which Wednesday, I have a show, 8 o'clock, Craft and Social. So be there. And yeah, I talk about dating as a single mom. It's hard. You know, because you're already trying to find a person for you because you don't want to be alone. You want a companion. You want somebody you can go to concerts with or just have lunch with and do nasty things with and hopefully don't have more kids with. But if it happens, right? And then you want them to be compatible with your kid. And I guess the controversy in that, a lot of people say, well, what's the perfect time to introduce your future significant other to your kids? I don't have the answers for you. I waited a year. That was just me. Because I wanted to make sure that I was compatible with the guy before anything happens. But at the same time, you don't want to invest too much time with this person. And the kid's like, no, back to the drawing board. So you have that. But someone once told me that you have to live for yourself as a parent. Your kids are going to grow up and they're going to move out. So you're going to be at the house by yourself because you are afraid to put your foot out there and start dating again. And I think it's safe to say that, you know what, your kids are not always going to be compatible with the person that you want to be with, because deep down, they always want their original parent. They always feel a sense of loss, like, why did dad leave, or why did mom leave? What was it about me that made them not want to stay? So they have internalized guilt that they caused that parent to leave, and hopefully, no, they had nothing to do with it. And I've always told my kids, it's not your fault your father left, okay? It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. He chose to walk away. He chooses not to build a relationship with you, have a relationship with you, and that's all you can do. You can't spend your life and your time wondering, why did daddy leave me specifically? Because I did that. I grew up when I found out about my dad, and like, why did my dad leave? But then I found out my dad had hand problems, and he listens to my podcast, so he know. Yeah, he has hand problems. I don't know why he feels he has to put his hands on women. What happened in his life, because I've never spoke to him on a personal level to ask him, like, you know. Well, I did sit down and ask him, like, because my mom made me. She's like, oh, ask your father about this, and that. And I said, so mom says you put your hands on her. Why? And he didn't shy away from it. He was like, well, that's how... He claimed that's how he was raised, but I've met my grandpa before he passed away. My grandpa was the sweetest guy, so I don't think that he learned that from grandpa. And I met my uncle. My dad is the oldest of two. It's just him and his brother. And Uncle Gordon doesn't have any children. Never put his hands on us. Well, me, so for my mom and dad, I'm the only child. My dad has other kids. So because I didn't live with my dad, I never, I got spanked by him one time, and I told my mom, and she was like, don't you touch my child ever again. So I was spared. But the rest of them, I'm pretty sure that they had to go through his wrath, you know. And it's already scary when a grown-ass man is coming after you, because they're heavier, they're bigger, they're scary when you're a kid. And then, not to excuse women, beat their kids too out of excess. And it's sad what happens with kids. So, good luck with that. But yeah, like, I met my dad and I was like, so, you got hand problems, bro? And all he cared about, he's like, I got a daughter in the army. I was like, yeah, so you know, I'm combative trained, bruh. So let's not, you know. But the only commonality we have is we both like going to the shooting range. So we don't go to the shooting range together. Okay, and that's that. Did he apologize for hitting my mother? He did, because he thought apologizing to me would make me want to have a relationship with him. And I'm like, no, you need to apologize to her. But of course, she's not talking to him. She'll never talk to him. And I understand that, right? Which leads me to the man versus the bear conversation that everybody's been having. Like, they would rather be alone in the woods with a bear than a man. And the men are up in arms about it. They're like, what do you mean? A man can protect you from the bear. I'm like, no, I've seen movies where the man ran away and left the girl to get mauled by the bear. So a man's not going to do much. But men are really upset because they're like, you really think that I'm more dangerous to you than a bear? And women are coming out and saying, yes. Because what? A bear's not going to say, well, what were you wearing? A bear's not going to say, well, I thought you were flirting with me. I thought it was a yes. You know? There's just so much controversy about that situation. I'm not exactly sure why a bear was chosen, though, because there's so many other animals we could have went with. And I think it's Disney's fault. I'm blaming Disney, because what's the biggest animal that we learn to love? Beauty and the Beast. Right? Remember Beauty and the Beast? And Belle was lost in the woods. She came upon the castle, and the beast, she finally met the beast. What he do? He threw her in a cell. He didn't touch her. He just threw her in a cell. He's like, you're going to sit here, and you're going to chill. Right? And then Lemire was like, well, if she's going to be here, let's give her a nice room. And he did that. Gave her a nice room to stay in, and made her accommodations and stuff like that. And then when she tried to run away from the castle and got attacked by wolves, what did the beast do? He went and protected her. He fought the wolves off. He brought her back, and she healed up his wounds. That's a weird analogy. But yeah, she chose the bear. Now, the weird metamorphosis is the bear turned into a man by the end, but we found out that he was turned into this hideous beast for whatever reason, because he was vain. But aren't we all vain a little bit? We all are vain. We all think we're too good for a certain somebody. And then we found out that certain somebody that we have a crush on doesn't want us. Rejection sucks. It sucks bad. But it happens. And I went on stage and I talked about the whole man versus bear thing. And I thought about it. Because when you wake up in the morning, the bear's not going to look at you in your eyes and say, what are you still doing here? Or, I'll call you sometime, and don't. But yeah. But we've all seen The Revenant. And we've seen, Legends of the Fall. So Leonardo DiCaprio lost against the bear. Brad Pitt lost against the bear. Yeah. The only animal a female lost to was, Red Riding Hood? No, she killed the wolf. Or somebody killed the wolf. I don't know. But we learned the hard way about what these fairy tale stories mean, haven't we? So I love the Brothers Grimm. That's where I'm going with that. I love the Brothers Grimm. So yeah, I get it. We went from parroting to talking about bears. I love this. That's why it's called Shenanigans. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. And yes. So let's talk about hobbies. Switching it up. So for Mother's Day, because you probably wondering, well, what did you get for Mother's Day? I got a shitload of flowers and plants, and I'm just so happy. So my front yard had marigolds, snapdragons, something purple. I forgot what it was, but it died. It's crusty and shriveled up. So I have to dig that up. And my current boyfriend decided to, Mother's Day, he got me roses a lot. He got me a whole bouquet of roses. That was and he brought it to the bar last night. So I was just like, oh my gosh, with my favorite candy, which is Almond Joy. And I was like, I told you not to give me anything. I don't celebrate Mother's Day. He was like, no, you're a great mom. We're celebrating you. Whatever happened between you and your mom, that's over. That's done with. You are still a mom. You should still be celebrated. So I'm like, oh, he's so sweet. And he got me a bunch of marigolds. I think he brought all the marigolds because he said that was the only flowers left. Fine, I'll take them. So I'm going to plant my marigolds because I have a new hobby. I'm trying to grow a green thumb. I know nothing about planting flowers. I just know I like them. And my son and his girlfriend got me some purple lilies. It's beautiful. Even though my favorite color is blue. And there was a blue plant I wanted, but somebody got it before me. So that's what I'm doing now. So finding a hobby. Plant flowers. I don't know. Read a book. I'm back into reading now, but I don't. My book is on my Kindle, and my Kindle is on my phone. I have to get back into reading. I'm not reading self-help books yet. But I need a self-help book on how to garden properly, when to water the plant, when to leave it alone, when to move it out of the sun. Because I got another little plant. Lowe's gives you free plants on Mother's Day or free flowers or something. So I'm like, yay. The only advantage of being a mom to give you something else that you have to put life into. I'm like, I raised 4 kids and you're still making me raise shit. Okay, fine. So flowers it is. Eventually I'm going to move on to herbs and do that. But yeah, for the most part, I buy my herbs in the supermarket and we cook with that. Fine. So tell me, what did you get your mom for Mother's Day? And a lot of people don't celebrate Mother's Day because, like you said, they've gone on to the good Lord above. And some people are not ready for that, they've lost their moms and they get sad around this time. Because I had one girl come to the bar last night and she was hugging her dogs and you could tell she was sad. She was hurt. She was going through it until I gave her the tab. And I think the tab hurt her more. I don't know. She had an $18 tab. She wasn't happy about it. I'm like, ma'am, you drank at a bar. Crying in your beer. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm not that type of bartender that's going to come to the bar and talk to you about it because I am not, what's the word? I'm empathetic. I'm like, oh, you're sad? All right, good luck with that. And I'm going to the other end of the block because I don't know how to talk to people about their grievances and their losses. Again, because I haven't, I don't want to say I'm not healed from not having a relationship with my mom, but I don't think I say the right things. And again, as a comedian, everything's funny, even when it's not. So my job would be to make you laugh in a situation where you don't want to laugh. You're crying, but I'm like, I don't think you should be crying. Like, think of the good things, like the memories that you built with your mom, and harvest that and smile. We shouldn't always have to cry, because crying is like, I guess crying is therapeutic for some, and others say crying is their way of cleansing and getting rid of the bad thoughts. I don't know. And I got into an argument with somebody because they're like, you should love your mother, you only get one. And I do love my mom. I really do love my mom. But we cannot be in the same room together. That's how bad it is, And I'm not sure why she hates me so much. Yes, I do know she hates me. And like I said, my family listens to this podcast, so they're going to hear this. They're probably going to Mom, listen to what she said. Yeah, it happens. I didn't block her. She can call me. I can call her. We can still talk. So if you can, yes. But again, there's topics where they say you have to cut toxic people off. If you have narcissistic people in your life, you have to cut them off. We are ingrained as a society that we can't fathom leaving that person that we're supposed to love. We can't leave that person because we have to understand where they came from. And so on the left side is saying, well, your mom did the best she could with what she knew how to do. You should forgive her. But the right side says, no, all the trauma, all the unnecessary hurt, that parent should have went and got therapy. That parent should have went and found ways to handle what hurt them so that they wouldn't inflict hurt on you. And I believe that, right? Because as a child growing up, you weren't there for the traumas. You weren't there for the abuse, the neglect, whatever they went through. You were not there for that. But why are you being treated as if you caused it? Like it's supposed to be your fault when it's not. So I'm wholeheartedly for cutting people off. That's just me, though. But somebody's like, well, if you cut them off, you're going to need them later in life. And before I cut my mom off, I did need her. I remember there was a time where, like I said, I was learning to be a single mom. And I got my very first apartment because I had to move off base. And I was trying to figure out, living off base, the military just takes a chunk out of your check and pays your rent or whatever. So you're like, well, you should be used to that. I was like, no. If you don't start the allotment, you have to remember to start the allotment, make sure that the rent gets paid or whatever. And my mom always said, you get one freebie. So before it gets bad, let me know. So this one time, I called her. I was like, Mom, I'm behind on rent. Can you help me out, please? And she said, now you know how it feels to be a single mom, and hung up on me. Luckily, I had the money, but I just wanted to test her out. I never asked my mom for anything ever again. And some people are like, no, because if she gave you the money, she would have enabled you. So if you fell behind on her rent again, you probably would have called her again. No, she made it clear. You get one freebie as an adult, one free help financially. And I understood that. And as the years went by, she would tell all of us, because I'm like I said, from my mom and dad, I'm the only child, but from my mom, I'm the oldest of 4. And she told all of us, now, if you need help, I can help you, but I can't give you money. Fair enough. So at some point as an adult, you're going to have to figure things out on your own. And I understood that. Everybody does. You figure it out. So that wasn't a reason to cut her off. Maybe I'll write a book about the real reason why we don't talk. I don't know yet. She might read that too. I don't know. But no, I don't blame her for anything. And can we stop telling people that you should forgive people that do bad things? Because what they say is, you need to forgive them for you, not for them. No. Because it makes no sense. I'm forgiving them. They don't know I forgave them. What's the point of forgiving somebody? If you're still going to be in hurt, you're still going to be in turmoil, you're still going to have the inner battle, because what the Bible say, honor thy mother, honor thy father. And then you did that, you did it to the best of your ability, and they still shitted on you. So it's like you have that guilt. But why should I feel guilty of not having a relationship when I tried? And what am I forgiving them for when they're mad at me? They're causing all this toxicity, narcissistic abuse. They're bringing it to you. So what is there to forgive? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You need to forgive them. No, I'm not. Because it's weird. It's like, oh, forgive but don't forget. Well, what's the point of forgiving if you're going to not forget? Huh? I'm confused. Explain it to me. Put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. You'll see the button that says send an email. So if you put an email in there, or if you put your views in there, I'm going to say your name, and then we're going to read the comment, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have a discussion, right? Because I need to know, how can you forgive someone but not forget the trespasses that they brought upon you? That doesn't seem like it goes hand in hand. Because the forgetting, you want me to constantly remember everything bad you did, but you want me to forgive you for it. I can't. And that's like PTSD. You're always going to remember, and then you're always going to be triggered. You're always going to be reminded. And you're going to have a reaction. And it's always going to be a negative reaction. Are you going to cry? Are you going to be filled with rage? Are you going to want to fight? Are you going to want to run? Like, what would that reaction be? So no, there's no forgiving. There's safe distance. I stay clear away from my mom. And some people will probably say, yeah, they keep a safe distance if you can. And I know in this economy it's probably tough because of inflation. You might have to live with that person. You might have to be their caregiver. And you have to constantly look at them every day and be the bigger person and take care of them and provide for them. Because now the shoe's on your foot, remember? They grew up, they took care of you. Now they're old in their age, and now they're relying on you. So how do you do that? You know, and my mom always said, oh, I can't wait to get old so I can move in your house. No, baby, you got 3 other kids. Go over there. You can't come over here. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Cannot happen. Can't. How old is my mom now? I think she's 69. I'm not sure. But yeah, my mom's older. And as long as she can stay in her house, stay over there. Stay over there. Can't do it. But yes, so back on the comic side. So Wednesday, May 15th, we got a show, and it's called Bit Comedy, where we do each other's sets. It's 4 comedians, and then we go up against each other. We're going to be paired off, and you're going to have to mimic the other person's set. It's myself, Lee Gary as the females. Then we have Anthony Austin Brown. And my apologies, I forgot who the other person is. I think it's Otis Hicks. I'm not sure. But it's going to be fun either way. And me and Lee have talked about it. And she's like, I want to do Anthony's set. And I'm like, no, I want to do Anthony's set. And if you're listening to this, the producer, Chuco Town Comedy, don't put the females against each other. That's the worst thing you can do in comedy when you have females on a show. Don't put the females together, or against each other. Because we talked about that, and it's like, if we're the top 2 females in our game, and you put us against each other, like, don't do that. Like, let us, like, brawl with the guys. So I don't know how we're gonna do it, like if we're gonna like draw names out of a hat or whatever and go up against each other. But Anthony's got this bit about the gremlins joke about dating crazy girls, and I want to do that. I want to turn into a gremlin. It's great. Lee, and I'm not afraid of Lee. I'll just say it. I told her, I said, I like your style of comedy, but I don't know any of your jokes by heart, so I wouldn't be able to replicate your jokes. I'll only be able to stand on stage and replicate how your mannerisms, and that's it, right? And so, and she's scary because she's like a emo goth, So I'm like, I can put on an emo goth outfit, but I can't replicate her jokes. I know Otis's jokes down to a science. I know Anthony's jokes down to a science because I get to watch them all the time and support them. So it's gonna be a challenge replicating another comic's jokes. So most people are like, oh, that's joke stealing. I was like, no, we have to go ahead, and we all agree to it. And I'm curious to see what jokes of mine somebody's gonna do, because I have a lot of them. Like I said, I talk about dating as a single parent. I talk about dating as an older person. I just talk about I barely started talking about my military experiences, because it's not that it's hard. It's like our military jokes are dark. And unless you've experienced it, it's like you're not going to get the jokes. So I have to translate some of them or figure out the medium. Yeah. And I talk about women things. I'm not talking about menopause yet because I'm not there. Don't judge me. I'm not on menopause yet. Thank goodness. I mean, I know it's scary. You turn into a man. You grow mustaches and grow hair in places. And then that's why it's called men on pause. You don't want a man anymore. Wait. That sounds weird. I don't know. But yeah. So that's what's coming up for the month of May. Shows on shows on shows. And then in June, I'll be in New Mexico doing some shows. But we'll talk about that later. But next Monday, we have a special guest. We have Joe Angel, who is the owner of J&M Toys. And I think there's like a toys and cards. He has the shop in Cielo Vista Mall. Well, he's got 3 shops. He took over because his father passed away, and he took over the family business. And I asked him to be on the podcast, and we're going to talk about that. And if you're a toy collector, that's the greatest place to go for toys. So he said he'll be able to join us next Monday. So that's awesome. We just got to put him on the calendar. But yes, don't forget, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, just reach out to me, let me know. I still have some people that are far away, so we have to figure out how we're going to get them. I know like Zoom or some there's like a program out there we can do, like Streamlabs or something, and we can get them on. So yes, so I haven't forgotten about you. I know we have a couple of people that want to be on the show, so I understand that, and I thank you for that. We're finally gaining momentum. Yeah, we're finally getting momentum. So yeah, and this episode, it wasn't meant to be like so strong and heavy, but yeah, like my kids celebrate me, and I'm blessed. So it was supposed to be like a Mother's Day thing, but then it got weird. I know, that's why it's called shenanigans. So yeah, so next week, what are we going to talk about? Well, like I said, we have a guest, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so I love you guys. Blessings upon blessings. Oh, I forgot to talk about the concert. We went to see, In This Moment, Motionless in White, Kim Dracula, and Mike's Not Dead. We missed him. We got there late because, men always taking a sweet ass time. So we missed him. But we got to see Kim Dracula, and we know that they were like hot on stage. They were dying of this El Paso heat. Motionless in White, always a pleasure. My favorite band, always a pleasure to see them. In This Moment, yeah, I got some work to do. We got the weirdest vibe ever. It was like the mood change. I don't want to say it was demonic. It wasn't. Like, if you know In This Moment, Maria, she does her thing to be a top female musician in the heavy metal rock world. I understand. It's hard to do. But I felt you was a little bit lazy, man. And I paid good money for these seats. I'm not going to tell you how much because my boyfriend might be listening. And I don't want him to know how much I paid for these tickets. Because we got there late and then we left early. It was weird. And I talked to another person that attended the concert, and she said the same thing. I'm not saying she was lip syncing. I'm saying it looked like she was, because her mannerisms was off with the music. It didn't sync up properly. So it was awkward. And then it was like she was standing in one spot. The majority of the show, she was standing in one spot. And it was just, I can't really describe it, but it was just, I don't know, it just wasn't our vibe. So we did leave, because we didn't want to take away the experience of everybody else that paid good money to see the show. And my boyfriend was talking some shit. So I'm like, look, you're not going to get our asses beat up in here. Like, let's just go. And we did. So we did get to see them. So shout out to Motionless in White. Love them. Love seeing them. Zeke's like, they didn't play my song. So the thing about Zeke is, like, we have musical differences. So I grew up in like the rock era. Like I started with the 80s hair bands and stuff like that, and to the 90s when like grunge came out and the Nine Inch Nails came out, and then I progressed to like Korn, Metallica. Metallica's still there. Metallica was a favorite, and then I stopped listening to Metallica, so I didn't go as heavy. Pantera, and then you start learning like your bands are racist or whatever, but you like the music, you like the message, and it's like, bro, you don't like me because the way I was born, that's messed up and everything. But you still listen to them because it's like the song fit what you were going through at that time. So I still listen, Korn. I still listen to a lot of bands, but the newer bands like Motionless in White, I Prevail, I love Seven Dust. I got to see them a couple of times, so it's pretty cool, So it was like, but that concert, I'm not saying the concert was disappointing. It was just awkward. So maybe in another city I'll give it a shot. Because I've never seen this woman live, and I only knew like 2 songs. Yes, Horror is the most popular one, but I only knew like 2 songs anyway. But when you listen to a band and you get to see them live, it's a totally different experience, right? So you want to give them the benefit of doubt, and some people can attest. Sometimes some bands don't do good live. It just doesn't work for them. But we know when you get on stage as performers, you're nervous, you're excited, the adrenaline hits, you get up there, or somebody could throw you off your A game, you get a text message or a phone call right before you get on stage, something crazy happens, and you still have to do your best. Whatever the case may be, you still have to perform, right? And then I heard Anita Baker, like, she canceled her show like 5 minutes before she was supposed to go on, and people were pissed. And I'm like, yeah, but personal reasons might have happened, so you want to give the artist the benefit of doubt. Anything could have happened. Could have had a diarrhea blowout. You were hungry. That's why I never eat before I go on stage. I'll be starving, but I will never eat before I go on stage. I don't care if I'm up there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. As a comedian, I will not eat before I go on stage to avoid blowouts. That's the worst thing you can have. You end up having the shits. It's called shits and giggles, but not like that. Or worse, like, I don't get drunk before I go on stage because you up there swaying and swerving and nauseated and you throwing up. That's not a good look. So I avoid anything. I even avoid water. I just be like, you know what? Just to be on the safe side, I will starve and be hungry until after my set. Once my set is done, I did what I was paid to do. Then I'm indulge in the adult beverages. I'm indulge in whatever food of choice. And y'all see me eat messy. Okay, look, I'm in there. That's me. That's just me. So, yeah. So, other than that, I think, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers was coming, and I really, really wanted to see them live. That's a band that I also grew up listening to. And I wanted to see them live, but Anthony, there's so many women that want to be with you that are like of age, that are established. Yeah, dude, and he's not the only one. He's not the only one. Why are y'all dating him so young? What's the real reason y'all dating so young? I need to know. Like 62 dating a 19-year-old, like she was barely a thought. I don't get it. Am I judging? Yeah, I'm judging. No, I don't want Anthony Kiedis. I liked Anthony Kiedis when he was in Point Break. When he first came out with the long hair, he was cute and everything, had the abs out. But now, no. Like, you're 62, I'm 46. We could do something. 19, bro. Do I still listen to music? Yes. Yes. Just like there's still people listening to R. Kelly. We know you're still listening to it. Because the songs come on the radio still. Y'all still stepping in the name of love. Like, so, but we get it though. We get it because the music speaks to your soul, and it came at a time where you were, like, whenever that song hit and it brings you back to a happy period, a happy place, we understand. We just have to learn to separate, I guess, the music from the artist. The artist has personal lives, personal things that they're going through. It's just weird finding out that your favorite bands are into like certain things and you're like, I'm not into that, but I like this song. So do you bump it quietly? Like, let me know. Like, do you just, like, when you're in the car, it's like your guilty pleasure, was like, I know you do weird things behind closed doors, but I still like the song. It's a bop. I don't know. I'm conflicted. What's your favorite song? Let me know. What's your favorite band? Let me know. Have you seen In This Moment in concert, and did you feel weird, or did you just like rock out, or were you heavily influenced? Because we smoke and drink and have a good time. We're not worried about it. Things like that. So then, put it in the comments. So yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for listening and tuning into Shenanigans with Sharita. That was me. Y'all keep supporting, liking, sharing, and look us up on all podcast platforms: Alexa, Amazon, Spotify. Yeah, we're on all major platforms, and we love you for it. Thank you. Take care. See you soon.